Here we go. Welcome back to Stocks by the Numbers, and I just uploaded this update, and of course, I don't know, it wasn't picking up the mic, so I spoke for 20 minutes to myself, and now I have to redo it. But basically what I was saying is just kind of patting myself on the back, just showing you how awesome I am, and speaking about how we saw the chunk up to these trend lines almost perfectly as I predicted, and obviously right now we're sitting at a very nice price, and we're talking about, of course, Super Microcomputer Incorporated, symbol SMCI, listed here on the NASDAQ, data center company, 60 and a quarter, up about 4.5 points, closing 8% after hours. We're seeing a little bit of a drop here, 58.66, down about a point and a half, 2.6%. But you can see that, first of all, we go back and we did an update right here when we got the earnings, and I spoke about the tightening and the potential symmetrical triangle. And I know some people out there are saying that sim triangles are bullish, sometimes they're bearish. It technically is not a bullish or bearish pattern to my recollection, unless this has randomly changed over the last couple of years and I just missed the memo. But a symmetrical triangle is just that. It is symmetrical, it is tightening, and there is usually an even slope for the most part on the top and bottom end of that range, and you either see a break up or a break down. And here, even though we had an earnings miss, I said, in my opinion, the fact that they raised guidance and then they're looking out even further to 2026, talking about revenue jumping up to potentially 40 billion. They're going to be a major player in the AI space, the data centers, right? 30% of them coming online are going to work with SMCI or whatever they said, right? So that's why I said, in my opinion, we should really break up here on Friday. Coming out of this sim triangle, we shouldn't drop down. And as you see, that's exactly what happened. The stock today runs to 66.44 and then has a big rejection. But let me show you something. If you recall, I pointed out this trend line right here, and you can see where we tapped those bottoms right there, the bottom bodies of that candle, and then boom, we had the slight gap down. And I said, in my opinion, that's where the stock has to go. 66.32 roughly was the price I had, and look what the stock did today. Runs up right there, 66.35, and then has a hard rejection. Now, I know some people are going to cite that Palantir news. If you haven't heard, Palantir stock just keeps going and went to the moon. So the CEO decided to pay himself over $1 billion and liquidate some shares. And I don't blame him, because in my opinion, the stock was overvalued at like 40 and it ran up to 120. So, you know, of course, I'm wishing you guys the best, but we have to be realistic sometimes. But it could have been on that news, maybe. I don't know. But I mentioned in the Discord as well. Discord, free for you guys to join. If you'd like, simply request a fresh link, and I'll drop you one in the comment section. And in the Discord, I saw this chunking down, and I said, yeah, 56, 55, we might come right back down to this trend line here. And as we were dropping, I mentioned, hey, in my opinion, I stepped in, I rolled the dice with a short-term weekly call, and you can see there was the nice bounce there. And saw about 100%. There were a bunch of people in the chat as well that made, you know, whatever, 20, 30% real quick, jumping in, getting out. And that's what it's all about. In and out, right? Trader's market. Don't be tied to a situation, especially if, you know, within a couple of minutes, all of a sudden you're up 30%, 50%. When we're dealing with options trades, you got to secure those profits. You got to lock them in, right? The number one priority is growing your account. It's not trying to be a financial genius. Oh, I'm up 200%. I wonder if I can get up to up 2,000%. Yeah, I understand we all want those moves, but remember, if you wake up, you did your work, you were, you know, diligent, and you made yourself, even if it's a quick 10%, 22%, whatever you might see on the options, you know, believe it or not, it was a good day, and willing, you know, God willing, you made more than the average person makes, you know, daily at the job. But 58.80, in my opinion, looks like a key level. We'll get the stock charts in a second, but you can see we're dancing around the fib levels here. We came down. Now it looks like we're just slowly inching up. We're staying above the 20-day moving average, though. That's a pretty good sign. But also just wanted to point out how awesome I am saying that we should break up and out, going to about 48 back to that support trend line. And that's literally basically exactly where the stock went to. And then I mentioned that we should inch our way up to these other trend lines here at 52, 55, and make our way up 64, 66. And you can see that is basically exactly what happened, stopping and bouncing right at these trend lines and coming right up as we expected. So now the RSI might be a little overextended because I know some traders are watching it now. We just went on a big run, so everyone jumped in, maybe playing the puts. RSI potentially overextended. We look here at the daily, it's at 80 and a third right now on the daily. So that's why the traders might beat it up for like a day or so. And we could potentially come back down here, or even like 53, 54, but then we should bounce and climb back up. In my opinion, over the next week or so, we really should hit like 75 to 80. Actually, maybe like 75 to 85, somewhere in that range. I know it's a wide range, but basically what I'm saying is we could see a slight pullback here in the immediate short term, but then we really should keep climbing, because if we switch over to the weekly, you can see the RSI even coming up here just in the last couple of weeks, essentially doubling in value, basically. You can see the RSI on the weekly time frame still sitting a touch below 61. So that's why they could pause it and cool it off maybe for a day or so, but then it really should kickstart back up. And technically the week is not over yet, but you can see that the 50-day moving average here on the weekly, 58.80, that was the key level I was talking about. Stock technically closed above that level, which would really indicate more bullish momentum. But we can see right now after hours the stock 58.60, and right here spiked up to about 58.90, had a slight pullback. So we have to wait and see, what the stock wants to do, obviously, over the next day or two. But there are a couple of key levels for you to watch. Again, 50-day on the weekly, 58.80. Top Bollinger Band on the weekly, 55.62. You have a lot of action around like 54, 55 here as well. You could potentially see the pullback to the 200-day 53.42. That might be a little extreme, but even the top Bollinger Band on the daily, you can see, look, we popped out. We're overextended now above the top Bollinger Band. We had the tightening. We spoke about the climbing and the trumpeting, right? So now we have to potentially see if we calm down and cause this to curl a little bit and cause this to start flattening out, and we come back down and test it, and then maybe even bounce prematurely and stay out of the Bollinger Bands. But the only reason I'm saying that is because I know a lot of traders keep their eye almost solely on the RSI. So that's why you may see a potential pullback now after this big run-up over the last couple of days. So definitely some key levels to watch. 58.80. Here again, the high 54s. We had, the 55s? 55.62 here on the weekly. And let's check the pivot points real quick. We had a pivot point right here, 57.83, and technically we are above that pivot point. That's on the weekly. If we do keep climbing, you can see next stop up there, 98 potentially. That's why, in my opinion, the stock really might keep going. And even here in the short term, you can see we were beaten down so much throughout January and February that we're well above first and second level resistance now. So we have to look at previous pivot points here to see what we might be doing. You can see key level right here, 59.20, top left of the screen. The stock opened at 59.04, almost right at that mark, and you can see it drop down and of course got back up. But previous points here, we have about 64 and change. What's this one? Yeah, this is going to be a key level right here, about 77.5, which is why I was saying, in my opinion, like 75.80s really shouldn't be an issue. And even getting back up here, again, I know these are pivot points going back to the second half of 2024, but chances are, in my opinion, this is where the stock is going to go over the next couple of weeks. And you can see a key pivot point here, second level resistance back in the month of September of 24 of a little over $85 a share. So 75 to 85, again, in my opinion, dunk shot. Stock was well over 100, right? Almost 123, so double this value, which would bring us to only 70 billion. And again, we're looking for, what they say, 28 billion for 25, 26 billion. And for 26, they're looking for 40 plus billion in revenue. So the growth is there. The demand is still there. No one threw them to the wayside because of their recent obstacles that they ran into and had to hurdle over. So, the way we're valuing some of these companies and pumping up these market caps, something like SMCI, I mean, to say that this isn't worth $90, $100 billion as a company, in my opinion, does kind of throw me for a loop, which is why, again, an easy triple from here brings us back up to 180, 190. And it might seem extreme, but again, if we back up, we see where we were after the S&P news and the company was coming out, increasing guidance. This is why I said, again, if we didn't get the Hindenburg research BS that now they're being investigated, so I said, in my opinion, we should wash out all of this negativity and volatility, and we should retrace right back to where we started, which we literally did today. And of course, they missed the filing and they needed the deadline extended. So we completely took it to the shredder here, the shredder. And we brought it down to 17 and a quarter. And my main point was, if none of this happened, right, markets stayed up, they kind of remained flat, stable, and of course we had the news of the reinvestment into American tech, right, and we're investing into AI, and that's why, chances are, you and I both know, with that recent news, if this didn't happen, then the stock probably would have bounced. We probably would have seen highs already by now. We'd be in the 140s, 150s, and I think that's being conservative, because this is a lot of time that passed. Again, we're going back to July. So you had August, September, October, November, December, January, and now almost all of February. We're talking 7 months of this company just completely getting halted with its momentum, with its growth in stock value because of some, I call it nonsense, but I know it was, some negatives that came to light. But you understand my point. We'd be up here already. We'd be at highs, and that's why, as I say, my personal price target, 200 a share, if hypothetically we were in that scenario, you'd probably say, yeah, he's probably right. He's probably getting a 200. Here, when I was saying it, I know people were like, you're crazy. There's no way. And now you can see we're a third of the way there already. So SMCI rebounding beautifully. And a lot of key levels for you to watch. Again, we can retest this trend line here at the high 55s, the 56. You have a lot of moving averages to keep an eye on. Let's check the news real quick, see if we missed anything. Because again, we looked at it when they released earnings there just on the 11th, about a week ago. So I don't think much really happened. Yep, 40 billion guidance. It's a Wall Street bet stock now. Okay, filing deadline. Yep. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Reading. Soars on bullish guidance. Pension by Supermicro. What's this? One of the largest public pensions in the world made major changes in its holding of U.S. traded stocks. South Korea's national pension initiated a position in Supermicro Computer. Phenomenal. Increased stakes in Palantir. Okay, that was kind of bad timing, especially with today. And Target, I don't know about that. And sold Chipotle Mexican Grill shares in the fourth quarter. We recently looked at CMG after the earnings report, and I know, it's viewed as, to a lot of people, as like a quote unquote like steady, stable grower. And again, the business is growing nicely, but I did mention, in my opinion, it could be viewed as overvalued now. And I just find that interesting that this pension fund now took a position in SMCI while trimming something like CMG. That might show you some writing on the wall. But again, them taking a position, we're talking about a pension fund. I mean, realistically, they should be holding this, in my opinion, for like the next 3 to 5 years. But I would say at minimum, probably at least 2 years. But obviously, if they make a move, we'll see. As of December, it managed $720 billion in assets. That's a chunk of change right there. Supermicro. Look, see, we go over the Hindenburg region. That's why I said, even when it started to come to light, these negative headlines. What did I say? I said, in my opinion, every article you click on has to like restate and just redefine and relay out all of the negatives that happen and just constantly keep shedding a light on it, right? I said that time and time again, which is why I said, in my opinion, I would be buying shares of SMCI like an animal. And of course, shout out to a lot of you, because I know people are commenting, oh, I'm up 40, 50%. I'm up over 100%. Thank you so much. So, of course, I'm glad it worked out, because we know sometimes they don't. But I'm telling you, in my opinion, I saw the writing on the wall. Every article beating them up. Oh, yeah, and by the way, Hindenburg Research said this. Oh, and by the way, they fired their auditor or whatever. It was just constant restatements of these negatives that we already knew day after day, right? They kept blowing Dell. And that's why I said, again, in my opinion, they keep talking about Dell, which is why you probably want to own SMCI. Palantir shares going to the moon. I mean, look at this. Soared 78% in 24, just in 25 so far. As of this article a couple of days ago, it was up almost 50% more in 25. So that's what I mean. It got too far, too quick in my eyes. So that drop and correction today is long overdue. In my opinion, stock should be down like 50% from where it is now, back in the 50s, 60s, but that's probably not going to happen. I know everybody loves it. And rightly so. Again, we looked at the numbers. I always said the business is growing very, very well. But, a company who's bringing in, like 3.6 billion for the year, they were saying, in revenue. I mean, that company's not worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Because, again, if that's the case, SMCI right now should be at 600 instead of 60. So that's what I mean. It can't just be, the stocks you like or want to own can't all be the exceptions to the rule, if you know what I mean. But shout out to the Discord. I recently called out puts on USO as well. That's the fund. US Oil tracks the value of oil. Dell nears deal to sell $5 billion in AI service to XAI. Okay, very nice. Supermicro, 5-6 days ago. Yep, $40 billion. Allegiant. We spoke about Allegiant. It didn't get many views. I don't remember what I said about it. Private placement, $700 million in notes. Yeah, this was right around where they posted. Notes due 2028. They posted on the 11th, so we're back now looking at like the 12th. Yeah, 40 billion. Maintain buy at Loop Capital. Price target raised from 40 to 50. Yeah, how's that working out? Stock hit 66 today. That's what I mean. These analysts, that's why they make me laugh. They make me laugh so much. Like, excuse my language, ladies, but with all due respect, like we used to say in the business, you lift your skirt and grab your balls, right? Especially when we're talking about something like SMCI. Just come out and put a freaking $90, $100 price target on the freaking thing. Maintain neutral at Wedbush. Price target raised to 40 from 24. There you go. Stock hit 66 today. Amateurs, I tell you. As it ties growth to NVIDIA Blackwell chips. Yep. Northland Securities adjust price target to 57 from 54. Keeps outperform. How's that looking? Amateurs. Maintained underweight by JP Morgan. Who is this? From 23 to 35. This was after earnings. I am not even joking. If I ran the analytical department at JP Morgan and someone walked into my office, dropped the report on my desk and said, I just looked at SMCI. I think we should raise the price target from 23 to 35, but we have to keep it at underweight. That person would be clearing out their desk. I'm telling you right now. I am telling you right now. There is no way. Right? I was just laughing and ripping apart the people with their $50 price targets that, of course, just got shattered in the last couple of days. 23 to 35, underweight. In my opinion, I have to assume they bet against the stock. I have to assume that. Either that, or potentially they're trying to keep it from skyrocketing so that they can build positions. In my opinion, it's one or the other. It's simple logic and common sense. These people look, right? And we said 40 to 50 was a joke. They're sitting here 35. How's that looking? You gotta love it. You gotta laugh is what you gotta do. You just gotta laugh. Wedbush from 24 to 40. Stock's 50% above that. Oh. Way too... It's just a joke. But then with a company not doing any business or revenue, something like ASTS, they'll keep their price targets up. I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Okay. Silver lining. Yeah, these were what came out after earnings. Yeah. Oh, man, that's funny, though, looking at those price targets. Can you imagine 35? And now you wake up and you watch it just chunk up to 48 to 55 to 65 today. Can you imagine? And you're sitting there saying, oh, my God, I thought 35. Within days, you are just massively incorrect. And it was a long-term outlook, right? We're not even talking about a trader who said puts and then the stock happened to pop up. No, 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 no. We're talking about asset managers of hundreds of billions of dollars. And they said 35. So just remember that. Just keep that in mind sometimes when you read some of these reports and some of these guys and girls, excuse me, opinions on these stocks. But oh man, that was funny. That was a good way. That was the cherry on top right there. That's a good way to end it. Again, my personal price target on this, you guys know, stands at well over 200. And as I said, if this nonsense didn't happen, we'd probably slowly be churning along on that path. And now that as the storm is potentially clearing, again, key date for you to keep in mind, February 25th. February 25th is the official deadline for the company to maintain their listing. And, that's why, again, it might dance around some of these trend lines here over the next week or so. But if we get to that date and they submit in time as they're predicting, 100 plus. It really should get back to 100 plus almost immediately on that news. But, of course, you have to take it day by day. And if we happen to see big movement tomorrow, or what's tomorrow? Thursday, right? If we see big movement tomorrow or maybe Friday, I'll try to jump back on, maybe do an update, and we'll see how some of our trend lines look. But, yeah, beautiful call here, coming right up to all of our trend lines, stopping right there and getting up to that nice gap fill, and now hanging out, chilling right here. But congratulations to anyone who stepped in recently and bought the dip and jumped in before the run-up going into earnings. Obviously, I have a lot of people commenting and messaging me in the Discord, thanks so much, great call, I'm up, 50%, I'm up 100%. So, I'm just very happy that it's moving in the right direction. And as I said, in my opinion, long-term growth is still there. So, did it just run up? And did you miss the lows? Yeah, obviously, of course. However, in my opinion, even if it remains volatile and bounces around, I do still think there's long-term potential there. But that's pretty much it. I'll end it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, and they're very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.